should've gone to work. I should've taken all my things and left you where you were. I think, but I don't think things through. And I like to drink, but just when I'm with you. Now that the days are getting longer, I should run so fast. I got no direction, and I'm starting to see the cracks. What a shame, you are nothing like I thought you'd be. What a shame, knowing you leave, that I still gain. What a shame, you are shrouded in hypocrisy. And what a shame that I'm the same. I hate when you don't look at me, when there's somebody else walking past. Is it somebody else I should be? You could have asked someone you like. You didn't have to call my phone. You should have figured where your hip was at and left me the fuck alone. I'm waiting on falling out of love, and sometimes you make it so easy, and sometimes you make it so tough. When did the days start getting shorter? Oh, I got places to be, and if you didn't, I'll tie your shoes, or you can come with me. What a shame, you are nothing like I thought you'd be. What a shame, knowing you leave, that I still gain. What a shame, you are shrouded in hypocrisy. And what a shame that I'm the same. I've done my best to be straight up with you and honest, but I could not deny you are the worst for me, but you tried.
What an excellent track. Excellent, perhaps. Thank you for tuning in to the Pink Sofa Hour. I'm your host, Pedro, and I am joined today by Keddjra and Eric.
Yes.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Today.
Thank you for having us.
That's a habit. Most of these episodes happen in the evening, so I kind of have that ingrained. So let's talk a little bit about that track. That was a fantastic little intro to the show.
Thank you.
I guess it's called Eggs and Toast, right? I kind of already knew that.
Yes, it is called Eggs and Toast.
Any specific reason that you wrote about eggs and or toast?
Well, honestly, I came up with the name because I was thinking about the first verse, and I was thinking about the song as a whole, and I was like, it's so simplistic, and it's like things and like chords that you would hear every day. So it's like eggs and toast, like something simple, something that like is so like easy and accessible to people, but I just put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, accessibility is a big part of relatability.
Exactly, yeah.
Being able to talk in like common terms and make them sort of an emotional experience can be a very powerful tool.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of great lyricists have kind of gone that route, and sometimes you also end up with lyrics about crazy wizards and stuff like that, which I also appreciate. But
don't we all?
Yeah. So Keddjra, how long have you lived in Colorado? Are you from here? Do you have a?
I was born and raised in Denver, pretty much. I moved up to Lakewood when I was like, I don't know, I pretty much spent half of my childhood in Denver and half of it in Lakewood. And I didn't start like doing I always played music my whole life, but I didn't start taking it seriously until I was probably about like 19 or 20.
When you kind of started to decide that you wanted to turn music into like a serious thing for yourself?
Exactly. I dropped out of school mid-COVID, because I was going to school for economics and math, which
Ooh.
is so funny now to look back on. And I was just like, man, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And COVID gave me the perfect excuse to drop out, so my family wasn't giving me any side eyes or anything like that.
Oh yeah, of course. That's always a component of life decisions is side eye,
Right?
specifically familial side eye. Growing up in Colorado and Denver in general, did you enjoy your experience? Do you like it here? Do you think you're gonna hang out for the rest of your life like me? I love Colorado.
Oh, I don't blame you, dude. Colorado's beautiful. I mean, it's definitely one of the most incredible places I've ever been. But I don't know. I think that there's a lot of other stuff out there for me. Like, I love Colorado, and I definitely, like, it's very valuable for me to be here for a little while and try to build some roots here because my whole family's here and stuff like that. But I definitely see myself, like, branching out a little bit and trying to see, like, where else I can get my hands into, you know.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have there been any other cities that you've visited or maybe like played music at or made similar sort of friends or communities at that you feel like might be on your list of places that you'd like to go?
I have not done like any traveling in the past couple years just because I'm gonna be so real, like I'm broke, and also COVID happened, you know. So like ever since my music career started, I really haven't gotten the opportunity to like bring that anywhere, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's like I really like what I have going on here, and like I'm excited to expand on it for sure. I think it's gonna take me a little while to figure out where I want to go and what I want to do. I'm definitely gonna have to spend some time traveling around, but I'm not really sure what that's gonna look like yet.
Cool. Well, that's an exciting prospect. Maybe even doing some tours with the bands that you're in could be a fun little foot in the door towards doing that kind of travel.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Now, out of curiosity, what was like the first thing that got you into music? Was it learning how to play an instrument, watching somebody else play an instrument, perhaps, or?
Well, I mean, my whole family is musicians. Like, my dad plays trumpet and he sings. My mom plays guitar. My brother plays crazy guitar. My sister's an incredible trumpet player. And, like, I always grew up with it. My parents were always in bands and stuff like that. When I was, like, a little kid, I would literally, like, walk around the house and, like, try to sing opera and shit like that. Like, it's just always been, like, kind of a part of me. And then, my brother, like, he's the first one in our family that got a ukulele, and he picked it up really fast, and he showed me and my sister how to play, and that kind of just, like, changed everything for me, because I was like, oh, dude, like, I can, like, write songs. Like, this is not as hard as I thought it was going to be, you know?
Yeah, that's badass. In fact, I feel like out of any families that might exist, a family full of musicians probably wasn't going to give you too much side eye for dropping out of economics.
This is true.
Yeah, you know, that's definitely they'd have to go a little bit easy on you at least.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. My parents have definitely been very supportive.
Well, yeah,
but
support.
yeah, they're great. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But my family, like my extended family, I feel like we're the black sheep of our family. Like my whole like intermediate family, you know? Just because we got like a lot of engineers and like chemists and like PhDs outside of us. And like my dad does like software engineering, not really. He does like, I don't know, something with the computer. But like
techie stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And like I get a lot of people being like, oh, like that's fun on the side, but you can't really make a career out of that, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's always possible to make a career out of anything. It kind of just depends on how much drive you have towards it.
Exactly. It's about how much you're willing to work. And that's something that I've definitely noticed over the past year, because, like, being an independent artist isn't easy, like, trying to do booking and, like, trying to, you know, release and produce stuff. Like, it's expensive. It adds up really fast, but...
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally. But that's the thing, though, is, like, there's money to be made out there if, like, that's your goal.
Exactly. You just gotta go looking for it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, well, it's also, too, it's like, for most artists... that's not like the nature of the beast, like, right? Like, we're doing it because it's something in here, and it's like making us compelled to feel like we have to do it. So money's always like kind of, I guess, like, I don't know, for you and me, I guess it's like the secondary.
Exactly.
For a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, it's like pretty much the secondary. But
I mean, that's the hardest thing about being an active independent musician is that you're spending so much time crafting your songs, working on your instrument, working on your overall musicianship,
yeah,
that like the promotion stuff, the running it like a business is something that is best left to other people. But that's kind of the problem is you're not making enough money yet to
Sure.
have somebody else
have
to do that.
anybody do that.
So it's a real struggle, and I totally get it. I mean, that's kind of the mission a little bit behind Pink Sofa is just to give a little bit of exposure towards people that are
Totally.
in the community doing that so that they don't have to have as much of that on their brain.
Well, that's one of the biggest things is like, yeah, community. Because if you build a community around yourself that's full of people that are supporting, just for the fact of supporting the intrinsic value that it gives to an individual to
Yeah.
support an art, whether it's music or otherwise, is kind of, yeah, it's like one of the more, I guess, deeper connections that will bring everybody together versus like, oh, we're going to go, I'll make this much during a gig, or we're going to have to spend this much for like a recording session. 'Cause it's like, we'll find what we need to do to make something happen if we really care about it enough. But like you were saying, it's like the drive.
Right.
How much are you willing to put in?
And I mean, as we all know, musicians love talking about money. It's their favorite thing to talk about.
I mean, depends. I don't know. It depends for sure. But yeah, I mean, it is borderline down to drive. Like you could put dollar amounts on pretty much everything you need, whether it's instruments, recording,
And it's
academic
expensive.
career to learn how to play those instruments.
Yeah.
You know, that
Right.
kind of thing. Like no matter what it is, it's like the drive has to be there regardless. I always kind of felt that the dollar amount tends to become secondary if you really put the drive first, because with that drive you can make your money, you can
Yeah.
get what you really need or want. You just got to really get out there and I guess do it right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And, you know, that kind of brings me to my next question a little bit is what is it that gave you the drive? You said that you were around 19 or 20 and you decided like, hey, I'm going to like take this seriously. I'm going to start performing. Was there like a specific switch or you just kind of came to the realization?
Well, honestly, what happened is I had been like super anxious about sharing my music for my whole life. Like it was just so vulnerable and something that was so personal to me, and you know it was really hard for me to share that with people, whether it be people that were close to me or like posting videos online. Like I just never felt comfortable. And then one day I posted this video of a song that I wrote. And it got pretty good feedback, and this dude that I used to work with at Dairy Queen was in a band, and he hit me up and he was like, hey dude, you should come over and write lyrics for this song. And so I went over and we had a great time. I laid down some really cool vocals, and then his other band members heard it and they were like, dude, she should be our singer. And then that group, it was like a psychedelic rock group, but that eventually ended up breaking up. And I was at the point where I was like, now that I had a taste of what it was like to like play with other people and like be a musician, like I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
So I started recording stuff by myself, just like on my phone and dropping it, because I was like, man, like I have to do this with whatever I have and however I can, you know?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a interesting recording tool to be using. In fact, that was kind of something that I wanted to mention. All of the stuff that I heard so far and everything on the new album was all recorded on a phone.
Pretty much. There's a couple tracks that were recorded like using like a Focusrite or whatever, but it was still like just all me in my bedroom doing my thing. But most of the tracks, pretty much almost all of the stems that are on the album were all recorded just like me chilling on my phone in my bedroom.
That's really impressive, honestly. I feel like, first off, phones must have come a tremendously long way overall as far as devices. But also, you know, it kind of reminds me of a Polaroid in a way. The idea of like taking photographs on something that's not like, you know, a 45 megapixel super high-end camera. The idea of kind of like taking a snapshot and then just having this like sort of grainy sort of image kind of adds a certain character to the music a little bit.
Exactly, dude. I mean, it's just, this album is so raw. Like, it's just a reflection of, you know, my journey trying to find myself and like trying to find my voice and my style, and just like going through all the things that I was going through. Because when I recorded these tracks, like I was feeling the emotions so raw. Like it's not like I was sitting here writing them, and then I had to wait like 2 weeks to go to a studio. Like, I was sitting there writing the song and recording it at the same time, you know?
That's really cool, honestly. I think that like there's something to be said about being as close to that center of emotion as possible, you know?
Definitely.
Music is definitely, for a lot of people, a very emotional experience, and like having the impulse to write a song and then having sort of that time that it takes to like really craft it, put it together, to take it to the studio can kind of take you away from some of the rawness of those emotions. So that's a really cool and distinct sort of take on how it is that a process for songwriting and song capture should be.
No, definitely. I think it honestly gives me the most like raw reflection of whatever I was feeling and whatever I wanted to present to people, you know? And like I wrote a lot of my songs as like coping mechanisms, because I was just like, I was going through a crazy time in my life, and like just being able to like throw my entire self into just like a project or whatever was in front of me, like that was so valuable to me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I'm sure that it came with its own challenges as well. I think that
Definitely.
it shows a lot of authenticity too.
Absolutely.
In particular, it feels like the music's very unapologetic. It's very raw. It's very vulnerable, you know?
Exactly.
And so it kind of adds to that relatability quite a bit.
It's just me, and people are either gonna like it or they're not, and I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's a really good mentality to hold on that, you know? You can't get too caught up with people's takes on stuff, and I think that that kind of even enhances a lot of that approach that you're taking. Do you want to talk a little bit about this album that's coming out? I love it in particular, and I mentioned this a little earlier on the Instagram post, because anything with lowercase in titles,
Yes, dude.
I feel like just implies like a certain sort of je ne sais quoi, I guess I could get fancy about it.
Yes.
Yeah. What does having lowercase in any like song titles mean to you?
I mean, honestly, I think it ties back to just like the whole way that I made it. Like, the thing about my music is like, sure, it's professional, but it's not really. You know, like I made it chilling in my room using my phone, and I just feel like the lowercase letters they're just kind of like, they're more representative of the vibe of the album and like what everything is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like raw and casual, and sort of
Exactly.
like you're writing a sentence, not like creating this magnum opus of like very capitalized letters all over the place.
Exactly.
You know?
It's just they are what they are, and I really like the lowercase. I just think it fits the vibe.
By the way, everyone, we've got Scooter in the studio today, gracing us with his magnificent musical presence. Maybe he'll sing us a couple of tunes.
Only if we're lucky.
we might be so lucky. We'll see. So before this big LP that you just are releasing tomorrow, you released 4 other singles, and I feel like they almost kind of tell a story if you put them in order of release. The first one, Red Light.
Yeah.
Then Pretty Boy, Scumbag, and Rubble. I kind of can almost craft, it's almost like a writing prompt, you know what I mean?
No, totally.
What is it that strikes you about those songs in that order? Was it part of like a saga, a story, or do you feel like they all kind of had their own sort of inspiration behind them?
Honestly, they all did kind of have their own inspiration behind them, but when I listen back to it now, it feels like them like string together. It's kind of like grieving, you know, because like Red Light, it's very powerful and very like reflective of whatever situation I was in at that time, and it's just very like, I don't know, like I said, reflective. Like, it's me realizing things about myself. And then Pretty Boy is just like, that's just like a good story, you know? Like, that's just like high school days, honestly.
You know, for me, that song in particular reminds me of a TV show. I don't know, and a particular character in a TV show. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Ted Lasso. It's about soccer, but it's really not about soccer. And there's a guy, his name is Jamie Tart, and he's kind of the pretty boy, fuck boy. We can curse on this program.
All right,
by the way.
sweet.
Just very much sort of reminded me of the attitude that he holds in general, and gave me a nice little nostalgic boost to that show that I might have to go back and watch again because it's really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
But not to give Apple TV any free publicity here, I was still kind of curious a little bit about some of the challenges that you ran into with using a phone as a recording device. I mean, obviously, having a keyboard and a mouse and like a whole audio interface is a very different kind of experience. But what do you feel like is unique about what it is that you took on there, and how is it that you might want to change the process for like a future album?
Depends how you define a challenge.
I mean, honestly,
you might think some of the things that we had to go through to work on her record were a challenge, but I mean, I don't know. Like I like the static stuff for like vocals recording through like headphones. Like you could say in a lot of ways that's like that the static is incorrect, or having that kind of thing is like a challenge to deal with, which it was, because we treated it as a challenge for like a week, 2 weeks, where we were just like meeting up a little bit and like trying to figure out every way we could possibly get rid of the static, re-record stuff, all that kind of thing. But in the end, it's just like we minimized it as much as we could, but still leaving the little amount that was in there just applied to the raw aesthetic. So I think it only was a challenge because we made it a challenge.
I'll agree with that, honestly. We had a long period of time where like we were listening back to things, and like there would be different static in different places, and it was just like, oh my god, how are we ever going to get this to sound like a cohesive piece of music? But I think honestly, like, we were just getting in a little bit over our heads.
In some ways, yeah. I mean, in some ways. Well, it's really how you would treat it, and it's like who is asking that kind of thing. So if you ask like a record producer or something at like Capitol Records, it's not gonna fly, right? Like
sure. They want to clean it.
There's no way they're gonna let anything related to what she did happen. You know?
Yeah, no, literally.
There's no
they
way.
would not be
on board. The
on
whole thing
board.
would have been a challenge, you know, that kind of thing, you know. But that's like why she did it on her phone, you know, and that's also like indicative of what happens when you do it on a device that gives you inherent limitations and then things that you have to work through anyway.
Yeah.
It's the creativity that you use with those limitations that gives it to you, and it's how you look at it, right? Like I said, if you look at it as a challenge, like obviously there were some parts where it was just like things that were glaring, where we were just like, well, we can fix this and we have to fix it. Sure. But when we come across something that I'm not a super like spiritual or like I don't believe in like everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason after it happens, you know, that kind of thing. But like when I would work on the record with her, and when we would like start doing certain aspects or like messing with the static or something, like we would be able to fix static here, but like there's one place where like it wouldn't just like it wouldn't work or something. And like it's not I wouldn't call it like a sign, but if you're accepting of that, and you're just accepting of like, oh well, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's listen to it all through together and kind of get the whole picture in there. You stop looking at it as an imperfection.
Totally. You know, I have...
It's just part of the song at that point.
I totally agree with you. I have, like, records that are very old, for example, that have imperfections in them. And I like some of the imperfections. In fact, I have a copy of Led Zeppelin 4 where in Misty Mountain Hop it has, like, a particular, like, jump that makes the needle hop over. But it almost forms like a weird, perfect 7/8 loop.
Sure.
Nice.
And it sounds really cool, and like no other record in the world does that, you know. And like, well, that I know of. But it's that kind of uniqueness that sort of imparts some of the interesting sort of qualities that make a non-Capitol Records artist so interesting.
Sure.
No, exactly. And honestly, I've had a lot of challenges recording on my phone just because there's a lot of limitations. You know, GarageBand doesn't have the most crazy synths in the world or anything like that. Like, most of that stuff is kind of garbage, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, it's just being able to use it, like, just being creative with it and just being like, alright, I can make something cool out of this. Like, I don't really know what it's gonna be like when I go into it, but I think it's gonna be awesome. And I don't know if I would honestly want to record, like, in a studio or anything like that. Like, obviously I could get better sound quality. Like, there's no arguing that. Like, I can make things sound, like, a lot more, like, polished, I guess. But at the end of the day, like, that's not really who I am as an artist.
Totally.
You know?
That's cool that you have that artistic identity sort of so solidified. I think that it really shows in the tracks that I've heard so far, and in particular, some of the effects that you use to kind of like almost wash out the sound into kind of this lo-fi, sort of grainy sort of circumstance, almost adds like a picture of a Polaroid with a Polaroid, you know, like a Polaroid
totally.
of a Polaroid.
Yeah, with this grainy effect starts to happen. Yeah. I mean, that's probably, honestly, I think for me at least, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but the biggest challenge for me working with her and making sure that the vision stayed true to what she was walking into is making sure that this is all as is, but we can still touch things up in such a way that where it comes across as like a fully developed piece of recorded material.
Yeah,
you know, that's probably the biggest challenge.
I think the biggest challenge was definitely
the
trying not to do too much to it, you know, because there was a lot of stuff that we could have changed and a lot of stuff that we could have re-recorded and gone back and redone, but it just wouldn't have been
as authentic.
It would have been as authentic. It wouldn't have been what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, we tried too.
You know?
Like we tried.
Yeah, we definitely tried. We tried to re-record so many tracks, but it just was never as good as what I had when I was doing it in the moment.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think
it's just like there was obviously the things of just like generic fixes, but that's like balancing that versus like how far are you fixing something versus changing this, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's completely that's the real challenge in some sense.
That's the biggest challenge for at least for me. Yeah.
It's definitely cool that you've found something that you're happy with, and I'm very excited to hear the new album as well. Do you have any plans to potentially do any sort of vinyl releases or anything like that on that?
Dude, I've thought about it. I'm gonna do tapes. I'm gonna drop some tapes. I feel like that would be really cool. I might do like a couple CDs, but I don't really know anybody who has a CD player. I'm gonna be so honest. I've thought about doing vinyls, but they're so expensive.
One of the things,
they really are. It's true.
One of the things that we did that I kind of like. I don't know if I ever told you about this, but me and Zoe, you know Zoe Moff and stuff, and she's a bass player for People in Between, this band that we're in, and me and her went to the drummer's show he was playing at the Rowan's show. He was playing with a different group, and one of the opening acts for the show that Rowan was playing is the O'Connor Brothers band. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. We've played with them on the bill before. They're fucking.
They're great.
Kick ass, dude.
Sick.
They're fucking kicking, dude. They're awesome. They're amazing. Southern rock and roll and stuff. It's really great. But what they did is they actually would put they would burn their own CDs of some of their music so they can just give them for free to people when they buy merch, so that like
that's smart.
Their concept was like, who owns a CD player?
Yeah.
Where is the CD player? In your car, right?
Right.
So you walk out, you have the CD in your thing, so you put it in, and that ends up staying in your CD player. Every time you turn on your car, that's what will come on for most people when they're that's like the only CD they have in their car for a lot of people.
It's a little guerrilla marketing.
It's like mainstream. So yeah, that's like that's what I was thinking. I was like, that is like you're playing 3D chess now, like you're using people's cognitive awareness to like implant your CD into their life.
Sure.
And I was like, that was a very interesting thing that I thought like not only People in Between could do, but like you could also do for sure is like put especially tracks that haven't been released yet or something, like demos or something like that.
Totally.
And just put them on these like tapes and just give them for free to people who buy merch, you know, because they're very cheap to do it if you do it all yourself and just write them all on Sharpie, like.
That's
sign them with Sharpie and stuff. Like I thought it was a pretty good merch idea.
That's a big part of marketing in general, is kind of figuring out how to get into people's brains in a unique, like viral or like repetitive kind of way. So that makes a lot of sense.
So it's $1 billion industry for a reason.
Yeah. Yep. So Keddjra, do you consider yourself to be a Heelys expert?
Heelys expert.
Oh, dude, that's so funny. I do fuck with the Heelys, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I do fuck with the Heelys. I have the freshest pair of Heelys of all time. They have like the little black flames on them. I should whip them out of the show, dude.
Shows and jams.
That'd be great. Just wheel out onto the stage.
Just wheeling around all over the stage. That would be quite an experience, I think.
People would be.
That would be great. People would love it.
Yeah, I would be taking pictures 100%.
Yeah, that's
no doubt. Well, do you know any tricks on the Heelys, or is it just wheeling around?
Oh god, dude, I tried to do tricks, but I'm so clumsy. I'm like one of the clumsiest people I know, honestly. It's like, that's a health hazard right there. It's a safety hazard. I can't be trying to do tricks on Heelys. I tried, definitely. I like tried to build a ramp once.
Oh,
Honestly,
nice.
I would like try to jump off of stairs and shit. Like just 2 stairs. I'm not trying to crack my skull open on some Heelys.
Oh yeah,
But
you don't
it
want to break
never-
your hands either. That would
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah,
bad.
for real. It never went well for me.
Fair enough.
Try to skate.
No, dude, I'm so uncoordinated.
Yeah. Just wondering.
Well, that's one of my special questions that I've prepared, but I have some other ones.
Oh, that was great, dude.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the title of the album, How My Friends Must Worry. I feel
Yeah.
like there's kind of 2 ways to interpret the title of that. One, in a whimsical, sort of wondering kind of way, like, oh, I wonder how my friends are worrying about this, or me, or whatever it's really about. Or it could almost be taken as, like, this is how my friends must worry. Like, an instructional, worry about this stuff. How...
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
I didn't think about it like that, right?
yeah.
I doubt that it's how you intended it, because the meaning of the phrase is typically the first kind. But I kind of thought about it, and it seemed sort of like an interesting perspective on it. It could be completely
I like that
wrong.
Take. I like that take.
Yeah.
It's like that. This is somewhat off topic, but there was that composer that wrote something called like the Mountain Range Symphony or something, and then all these people afterwards in the show were like, "Oh, such a beautiful! I could feel the mountain range and all the wind and all that kind of stuff." And he was like, "Good, I wrote that on a napkin in a baseball game." Yeah, he's like, it had nothing to do with the mountains. I just entitled it that because suckers like you would think things like that, right? So
Brilliant.
he's like playing a prank on them. But yeah, no, yeah.
I love a good
That's an
prank.
interesting meaning. That's an interesting meaning that I never thought of.
I never thought of it like that either. I think it was really just like it was just like, man, I'm going through a lot of shit. I bet my friends are really worried about me right now. And it took me a really long time to figure out what I wanted the title to be. But
I mean, yeah, you're still like kind of
Yeah.
back and forth even about the title of this.
exactly.
I thought it was the best thing that you possibly could have come up with. I
It was like it was the first thing that I ever came up with too.
it just captures, at least for me, if I was listening to the whole thing, which I have been in the last few days because it's about to come out and I worked on it, so I want to like know what
Yeah.
it sounds like cohesively before it even comes out and everything. Just listening to it, and yeah, it's just for me the perfect reflection of just when you listen to that, it's like, wow, like if her friends listened to this, you would worry about a friend who would be like expressing these kinds of things and going through the emotions that she expressed on the record.
Totally.
You know, like I would be worried for her.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
asked her,
part
I
of
was
that
like, "Did
vulnerability.
this shit happen to you?"
I was like,
I was like, did that
You're
dude
right.
actually say that to you?
Literally.
Like, is that
Are you in
real?
therapy?
Well, right. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like it was. Like I was seriously concerned
No, there's
enough
some,
to ask. You
there's
know.
some heavy stuff on there for sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, I was going to ask what some of the challenges of performing some of those songs live, because obviously some of the instrumentation
man.
is a
It's
little
hard.
different.
It's
Yeah.
honestly, it's really hard because, I mean, I made all that stuff like with no like live arrangement in mind. I was just like, fuck it, I'm making a dope song tonight, you know, like it's gonna happen. And like, oh God, it's like I want to keep my band like small and intimate because like I feel like I shouldn't have to have like a 6-piece band to reflect what I'm doing, you know?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because like it's supposed to be so like simplistic and raw, you know? But man, it's fucking hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like trying to find people to do backup vocals that can also play instruments and like trying to find the right sounds for synths and stuff. Literally almost needing 2 synths on some things and stuff like that. Like it's kind of frustrating, honestly, like trying to translate my like my vision into a live setting because like that was anywhere near the forefront of my brain when I wrote these tracks, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like
It's very much more a studio album than it is like a live album.
totally.
Yeah.
And like I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. Like I've got a great band backing me up. With Eli Baumgartner, Charlotte Seckman, and Eric, of course. But like it's a challenge. Like there's just like little nuances and little things, and like it's just harder than I thought it was gonna be, honestly. And like we're still trying to figure it out. Like we're still trying to get my live band to really where I really want it to be before we play any shows. That's why I didn't do an album release shows, because I was like, I just need this to drop.
For sure.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's ready, and if it makes you feel any better, I think Eggs and Toasts sounded really good, even just as a little two-piece combination. And
Yeah,
thank you.
You.
No, her music is. I mean, yeah, it's like you can play it in all forms, right? Because we've done some insanely, amazingly soul-stirring live performances of a full band, 6-piece band of her music.
True.
Mhm.
But it's experimentation. Like not every song is going to translate exactly the same as how we did it for that one arrangement.
Sure.
And we spent like a good hour or two going through. Wanted you to stay to make that arrangement. For,
Yeah, we had to like chart it all out and
performance and stuff.
everything.
Right, and so like and having that like it takes time and stuff like that, and it's experimentation. I think more than anything, and being okay with the amount of time it's going to take, which is exactly what she's saying. Like it's better to take the time to make sure that stuff's prepared.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Also,
in that way.
I feel like it's hard because like there's some songs that are like so produced that I did that where like everything was electronic, and like I put a bunch of background vocals and synths and like drums, and then there's songs where it's literally just me and a ukulele, you know. So it's got a very like wide range of production, and it's hard to like try to balance that and figure out how you want to balance that live so everything feels cohesive, because it's hard to just like drop back and do like 3 songs completely solo when you have 3 other people on stage, you know.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's something that sounds like you're working on. And
yeah, we're getting there.
yeah, I don't want to be
it's sounding great too. Like as we keep rehearsing and working on it and stuff, it's really sounding pretty special. Yeah.
Nice. I am curious. Do you think you know when you'll have sort of that set put together enough that you might want to start playing that music out?
We're aiming for like spring. I'm saying like probably late March, early April, something like that. Maybe mid-March.
Heck yeah.
But we're looking at a couple venues and stuff like that. We definitely got some stuff lined up. But you know, I don't want to. This is so personal and like so important to me. I don't want to bring a live band out unless I'm absolutely sure that it's everything that I want, you know?
Yeah, because we've tried before.
Yeah.
We've done this before. Yeah, we did an April Fool's album release where it was a complete prank. And so, yeah.
Just the prank, bro.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a prank, bro. And it's literally April of last year, so it's like the record's been working on it for about a year, so like... Yeah, I mean, making sure that it sounds to where it should and that the whole performance... Because that's another thing, too, and I'm sure you would agree with this, is that it's not one of those things, it's like, how can I describe this? It's not like, it's going to be so intimate. Like, her live performance is going to be so, it has to be intimate. Like, it has to be very personal. Connection to the audience, too. But at the same time, also has to feel like a very live and eventful show.
A well put together kind
of
circumstance.
You know,
so like a production,
like, Right, and I mean, not to say that you're gonna have like all these crazy lights everywhere and doing all these things, but it has to like be set up and flow in such a way where it will carry this intimate and profound connection that we're trying to build with the audience.
I think that the artistic identity is very well set, and so any sort of performance has to also kind of impart that energy.
Sure. Exactly. It has to fall in that same kind of vibe or whatever.
And
this isn't a jam band or anything like that.
No.
Like, we cannot.
Doesn't sound like it.
We can't just put a song together, you know. Like, it is fun. We can try to do that stuff too. Like we did it yesterday. We played one of our tunes. It's just like a jam and stuff. It's totally cool. But for what I think you're trying to do, right? It's much more of just like a deep connection to the people who are listening. Especially in the live setting, and trying to make sure that all come across.
And you know, to that end, speaking of like live intimate performances, I think you guys have a couple more tracks that you'd like to play. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yes, we
Amazing.
do.
Let me go ahead and swap over to that, and away we go. If you want to talk about it first, feel free.
Sure, I'll say a little ditty about it. The next song that we're doing is called Somebody Else. It pretty much just has ukulele, vocal percussion, and a little bit of bass that I played on a baritone ukulele on the record. This song was inspired by one of my friends, actually, one of my good friends. She came up with this line that was, I don't want to be just somebody else to you. And she never did anything with it. She showed it to me when we were like 15 or something like that. But I never forgot it. And I came to a time in my life where like, it was very relevant to me. So I took it and I turned it into my own thing. I don't wanna be just somebody else to you. I don't wanna live like I don't love you the way I do. I don't wanna be just waiting around. I don't wanna be just someone to call for fun. I don't wanna live like I'm all wrapped up around your thumb. I don't wanna be. I wonder what I should do about you, about you. About you. We had talks about the places to leave me for, as we discussed the complications of being more. You don't wanna play the tether to me, dead to me. Do I remind you of someone you loved before, and I'm still looking for the someone to love you more? Is it comforting to know that I couldn't go, that I could not go? No, oh no, I couldn't go.
Scooter liked that one, I think.
Yeah,
Scooter
Scooter looks like he's into it.
He's quite enthralled. Yeah, that was nice. What was it called?
Somebody else.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Nice. Is there any like titular album name? I'm sorry, song name from the album? Like, do you have a song called "How My Friends Must Worry," or
No.
it's just the album title?
Yeah, it's just the album title. I thought about naming the album after one of my songs, but it just didn't feel right. Like, I feel like the entire album like could not be like represented by one of the pieces of work, because everything on the album is so different, you know?
Yeah, nice. It definitely had a bit of a nice mouth percussion sort of feel that implied that there is a lot else going on potentially on that track, but I will be sure to take a listen once the album is actually out.
Definitely got to dive into that one.
Yeah. So I think that there's 2 other songs that you wanted to do, but it was going to be solo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would we want to hop into those right away?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. Let's just go ahead and put that on for just a moment, and we will be right back.
Word. Okay, so this next song is called I Put Distortion on My Ukulele, but I didn't bring a distortion pedal today, so we're just gonna do I Put Distortion on My Ukulele, but without distortion. Everyone I love is leaving me, but it's alright, I'll be okay. I got Jameson at home, I got time to be alone, and I got memories that just don't go away. You think things never turn out like you want them to, and nothing's ever be quite you promised us, and all the best for when you're a million miles away, and you will only call me when you had a shitty day. I can lay to rest all the things I was going to say, 'cause I don't think that you would like to listen anyways. The car mirror on my driver's side is stained with smoking ash. I'm sad you told me that. And I took down all your paintings because they were staring back. What were they staring at? I miss my friends, all the ones that I never had. People I loved even though they made me feel bad. I miss the rush that you gave me when we first met. Draw me in and put me out like a cigarette. And I'm so hopeless when I look into your eyes, 'cause I don't think that I could leave you if I fucking tried.
That was badass.
Dude, thank you.
I love that one. It was like I could definitely feel the distortion in the ukulele, even if it wasn't present.
Oh yeah, it's got a little punk vibe on there.
Yeah, definitely. I guess in the album, is there other instrumentation on that song? Do you have like a...
Yeah, I got Zoe Moff to play bass on that, which honestly is so tight. I'm
savage,
so stoked about that, bro. And then I got my good friend Will Travis, who is actually the dude that initially like hit me up and was like, "Oh, you should come like write lyrics for this song or whatever." I got him to play drums on that track. I really liked that track, and I really like the people that I have on that track, because it's like Will is the person that like brought me out of the basement as an artist, you know,
Yeah.
like he's the person that like actually got me out and like doing music like outside of just chilling. And
It's really
like,
important, honestly,
No,
having that
seriously.
connection that makes you feel a part of the community. You know?
Exactly. Like I would never say this to his face, but he changed my life. He definitely did.
Well, if he's tuned in, then perhaps he might have heard that. But that's awesome. I really, really appreciate that as music is a very community-driven kind of thing. Like, you could be making music in your bedroom for the rest of your life, but it never means as much as when you have an audience and when you have like a group of people that you respect that appreciates what you're doing.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, that track is really special to me. I got two musicians that have been like absolutely crucial to my career, honestly, to play with me on that track. And like, I'm just so happy with it. That's definitely one of my favorites off the album. It's just so fun.
Nice. So, I'm curious, how many baby dolls with bleeding eyes do you own? I'm just like a little creeped out by that, but I'm also, is it like a collection? Are you gonna show them off at any point, or?
I feel like, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember which picture you're talking about, bro. Oh god. I feel like
But
that
you
was
do
just
have
like,
one at least.
it's got to be around there somewhere, bro. I mean, I was like so into like I don't know, I've always been into like creepy stuff and like dark stuff. Like ever since I was a kid, I love like ghost stories and all that kind of shit, and like horror movies. I'm a huge horror buff, and I just love creepy stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was just like a one-off arc find that we had, and we were like, oh, this would be so cool for a photo shoot. So we picked it up. It's probably still at my parents' house in my old room, honestly.
Heck yeah. That's fun. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to let the audience know, whoever's tuned in right now, that if you have any sort of questions for Keddjra or Eric, they're both still here, you can type them in the chat, and we will be able to answer them right after this next song. Also, can I get a couple yeehaws in the chat, please? just one yeehaw will make me really happy.
Just a yeehaw.
One singular yeehaw, please. Do you want to go ahead and introduce this next song?
Yeah, so this one is called November. I'm not taking care of myself anymore, and it's hard for me to function lately. I wasn't really asking for help, I'm just edgy and I'm sorry to bring it out. So I didn't want you around. Well, I've been in my head a lot, and I'm thinking not so pleasant thoughts, and things are harder than I remember them being. And things are harder than I remember they were. And it's warmer this November than it was this time last year, but I'm still bitter cold and I'm drinking lots of beer, and I'm happy you're not with me, but I wish that you were here. Thank fucking God that you're not with me. It'd be so sad if you were here. And these pants were my favorite, but I lost weight since then, and I'm losing my connections and interest in my friends. Don't take advice from me, cause I'm guilty all the time, and I'm never in control, but I'm always in my mind. And I'd be better if I only knew how. Why is warmer weather bringing me down?
Beautiful. Wow. I really like that one. In particular, I think that any song that has the title of a month in it makes me nostalgic for things that have happened in those months. And in particular, I think November is this big sort of like change of the seasons kind of month. And there's also somebody else who's written a song called November, and now I know two good songs that are named November, so I'll have to introduce you to the other one at some point.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Eric, would you like to join us back on the
Yeah,
sofa?
Sure.
Come
I think
back over,
we've
man.
got a couple of fun questions from the audience, and we can kind of talk a little bit about the whole musical community, PIB, Groove Felon, and all that. But first off, is there any songs that you'd recommend for the friends to listen to that might be worried?
Yes, actually, I have a good answer for this one. Think of You. That's like, it's like not even a minute long. It's really short. It's my sister's favorite track on the album, and it's just like, it's short and it's beautiful and it's like very hopeful, you know? It's the last track on the album, and like, I just think it's like the perfect little bow on top, you know?
Beautiful. That's fun. Okay. That question came to us from Devo Feltes. So thanks, Devo. By the way, if there's anybody that you'd like to shout out or say hey to, now's usually the time for those sorts of interactions. Any like hey, thanks for listening, Mom, or if
I
she's
don't even
tuned
know
in.
if my dad's in here, but if he is, thanks, Dad. You're my biggest supporter of all time.
Yeah,
Love you forever.
He's the
And if
man.
Mom's listening from the daycare, I love you too. Those babies are treating you good.
Yeah, they come to every one of our duo gigs. And
Yeah,
like,
they're incredible.
yeah, like you would think like, oh, like people are just gonna come through because it's like a new spot that we're playing and like they've never been there before, that kind of thing.
yeah,
But like no, they come to every one of our duo gigs that we do. And
It's always
all of
nice
their,
to
like,
have the
live
support.
performances and stuff
Yeah,
too.
they're,
Like,
they're
even if it's like an hour
amazing.
away, dude, yeah, they're the best. They're awesome.
beautiful.
And then hi to my mom as well.
There we go.
What's up, Dorothy?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a couple minutes about some of the other projects that you're in. People in Between. I just got to meet the final member that I hadn't met last night. Well, you and Jeremy, I believe.
Jeremy,
Keys player,
yeah.
Badass keys
Jeremy's
player.
great.
And everybody else in the band is just monstrous.
Yeah.
But how'd you guys meet? Where was it that PIB formed? How did that kind of all come together?
That was Troy.
Hey.
It's Dad.
Yes.
There we go. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you want me to answer that, I guess?
I guess we could honestly go half and half on this. But me and Eric originally met because he heard what I was doing with the psychedelic rock band and he was like, oh, that's cool. And then that band broke up and he found my personal stuff like Rebel and Scumbag that I had made, like just released by myself. And he was like, this is tight. Like, do you want to do a little skate park feature? Because at the time he was playing shows doing just like busking jazz at the skate park.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Damn, that's really, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. That's a fascinating place to be playing jazz. I love that.
No, it was great, dude.
I could have an entire
so
episode just talking about that.
Except for the police.
Except for the cops, dude.
The
cops were such dicks about it, but
Oh,
everybody
sure.
else
I mean, that's
loved
like their
it so
job.
much, and it was so cool.
Well, actually, not generalizing all the cops, because there were cops that came that told us that gave us the go,
that's true,
told us
that's
to keep
true.
going for like another hour, but then the chief of police for Arvada police department came to shut it down. Yeah, confiscated like beer and all that shit. It was
Tragic.
It was annoying.
It was tragic, bro.
But yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, that's how people in between kind of Arvada police for breaking up the amazing set, dude. Right? That's what I'm saying, dude. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was in COVID, and when I was in COVID, I was in music school, and when you're in music school, it's the worst thing to do online, and you can't play with other people. So when the restrictions were starting to get pulled back, and like slowly but surely, slightly, I was like, dude, why am I waiting for like a venue or like a bar or something to give me the okay to play some music with some people in a live setting? I have a skate park that's right behind my house that is like the 4th largest and voted best like outdoor skate park in the world. And I was like, people are here all the time. I could just bring a band to go. And
that's so
if
fun.
you know dope musicians like you've seen, like all the musicians last night and stuff like that, I mean, you got to pull the people to call from. So I called Gabriella, who's an amazing saxophone player. Have you met Gabriella yet? Maybe not.
Was
She's
she there
a
last
sax
night?
player. She was
Okay.
not. She was the only person who wasn't there.
Gotcha.
But she is an amazing saxophone player, and she was in this group for a little bit with Zoe, and that's how I met Zoe. Is basically just telling Gabriella like, hey, is there any bass player do you think Zoe would be down to do? Because I like saw Zoe on Instagram and stuff, and then they started playing. And then we literally played at a skate park, and I hired the guy Will that you're talking about to come and do that, to come play, to sit in for another drummer who's our little homie Baz. I think you probably met Baz last night.
Yeah.
He was the short dude with the hat and the blue.
Yeah, he's really
ripper
cool.
on drums, dude. He's awesome.
Yeah,
and so he
tears it up.
he couldn't play a gig, and so I like had Will come in and sit in instead, and he did that once. And then I think I don't remember which time it was, but maybe like the second time that you guys came through and Will was supposed to play, that's when the cops came and they shut it. We didn't even get halfway through On and On by Erykah Badu. We played half of On and On, and they came and shut it down.
Brutal.
Yeah, it sucked, but I got to meet Keddjra personally because she came to go see Will play and stuff like that, and I was like, are you that woman with that amazing voice that's on those recordings for like CSP and that kind of stuff, and then like her own personal music? And then from there I was like, you should sing in everything that we do. So yeah, I mean, that's why she's the lead singer and lyricist to People in Between.
Yeah, pretty much. He just picked me up, bro, at a skate park one evening, and it just worked out like amazingly from there. Like, Eric was one of the first people that I ever showed like my personal music to, that like I wanted to release, because I got so exhausted working on the album that I was like, man, I just really need some support and like some help. Like, this is so hard to do by myself.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea how to mix and master, and I was trying to do it all on my damn phone.
It's tough.
It was really difficult.
It's really tough.
And then I showed it to Eric, and he was like, dude, this shit is great. Like,
Yeah, no, like
you have to release this.
Well, that's the thing is like, I don't know, personally I believe that there's no such thing as bad music, just lazy ears. Even if you hear a 5-year-old just beat the shit out of a piano that's out of tune, and you want to call it music or record it and release it or something, inherently in every single active approach of a genuine expression of your artistic self is incredible to me. And I truly do believe that a lot of people in the world walking around thinking that certain genres of music are like bad, quote unquote, or certain things are like bad in their taste. It's just you got lazy ears and you're not really opening your ears to what's actually happening.
I really like that take. I feel like that's I pretty much live that.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean,
as a philosophy.
I really feel like musically the world would be in a better place if people had that approach. But like, with that being said, like, while I do enjoy all music and pretty much everything you could throw at me, I could find something there where I'm enjoying. There are certain things that speak to you on like a deep, profound level where like it's like I don't know. It's like some people probably might describe it as like a higher power, an entity or something talking to them. Like I just heard a voice in my head or something
Sure.
that made me like go this direction or something. But when I listen to her music, the amount of genuine expression that I didn't even have to ask her about, that I could just taste in the music, and that you just hear it and you smell it, and it just like it's like
Yeah, it hits like all your senses.
I mean, it's just it just hits you, you know. And there's like certain music in the world that has hit me like that. I mean, like one of them was Jimi Hendrix. Listening to him play, listening
got
to
a lot of Jimmy in here.
Yeah, I mean, just listen to all the live Jimi Hendrix records. That's what it did for me as a small kid with an iPod with my brother's music on it, and like it just like pushed me, like it profoundly spoke to me, I guess is like what you would say. And that was the same thing for Kedddra's music. It really was. It was like it spoke to me on a level. It was like something beyond just this like resonant music hitting my ears. There's like something else that's like speaking to me deeper than that. So I was like, if you just come to my house and come to my studio, I will work on any part of that you need for free, play on it, mix, master, record any of that stuff, because it was just like, yeah, this needs to be something out there. And I also totally felt like that you're in, like there's not a coincidence that you're in this like prime time where this kind of music speaks to a generation of people around our age, kind of,
right.
You know, and like even people older too dig it, and people younger dig it too.
Yeah,
Especially
I mean, it's
the
very
young kids.
relatable.
Yeah,
Young kids dig it too.
It's powerful stuff.
But
pretty much no matter how old you are, it's
right.
a lot of good emotional content.
Right, but like even like her aesthetic and stuff, like it definitely speaks to a certain like aesthetic person and a certain like generational kind of experience that I think a lot of people have had. And
I mean, you look cool. You sound cool. That's what the people want.
Yeah, it would it would be beyond a shame for the world to not be able to hear that. And even if one person, I mean, for me, it's like even if one person hears that music and feels that same thing that I did, that's beyond enough reason for me to help with it in any possible way. You know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I would just like to throw in that before like I ever worked with Eric, I never thought that my music would make somebody else feel the way that it makes me feel, because like my music is so personal, obviously. Like I know a lot of people don't listen to their own music that they drop or whatever, but I think that's bullshit. Like that stuff speaks to me more than anything else ever will, because it's like I put my whole heart and soul into that, you know. And I never thought that other people would connect with it in the way that I did until I showed it to Eric, and he was like, "Oh, dude, like you have to do something with this. Like this man is like definitely like probably half the reason that the album is even coming out." You know?
Yeah. And that album's coming out tomorrow. The world will be able to hear it on Spotify, on any other platforms.
Music, YouTube,
on everything.
YouTube, Apple Music,
SoundCloud.
Let's go. Love that.
Yeah, stream it on all the platforms too. Use all of them. Go on YouTube, listen to it, then go on Apple Music.
Gonna have like 17 tabs open. Just gonna shred that album to pieces tomorrow. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, dude, do it. It's really something special. I really do believe that. Yeah.
I agree. After hearing some of those tracks, I will definitely be checking it out, and I agree that there's something very unique. And I can't wait to hear the full instrumentation. I think that'll be a really special sort of take after hearing the sneak peek. And with that, I want to definitely thank you guys for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you. Great musicians, great musicianship, great words, great lyrics. I appreciate you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, this has been awesome, dude.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and this has been the Pink Sofa Hour. Thanks to the audience for tuning in. This Saturday, this has been actually a secret episode. Normally we don't do them on Thursdays, but this was this month's secret episode, and this Saturday we will be having on Shad Bonin for some more very heartfelt and raw emotional music. So please tune into that, and with that, we are going to go ahead and sign off.
Bye,
Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.